Frank, big Frank, short style swag, first step, let's go. Number 4, pinner in the box. Party started.
Last time we talked about film school, and now we'll give our demonstration of what we think film school should be. So, we're going to be talking about the 2 Godfather movies. Should we count 3? Well, not in this conversation, but in general.
I mean, in general, but it was
Yeah,
terrible.
right?
Yeah, it was
It's so
pretty
bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they had there's so many production problems with that. Like, they went through 5 different actresses, and one of them
acting-
died on the way to...
I think the acting was terrible.
It was horrible.
Compared to the first 2 movies, you can't even compare.
Yeah,
Even Al Pacino was horrible. So that you figure, when he screams, ah! Every time they went, what does he say? Every time I want to
get out, they pull me back in.
They pull me back in.
Stupid.
That was horrible. So,
okay, but let's talk about these 2 movies. Let's just start off with something fun, a little exercise. What was the first time you could remember watching one of them?
honestly, I don't remember as a child. I did watch it as a child, but I remember when I was like 25.
Rewatching them in a way, or like fully watching them.
Fully watching them.
Yeah, I'm similar with that because it was always on. It was either during the holidays or...
You don't even watch it.
Yeah. I think it's funny that they always play it during the holidays.
Right.
But I remember really sitting down and watching it twice. It took me 2 sittings watching it. It was me and Francesco. We were sitting down in the basement one day and we just tried watching it. And I think we got to past Sonny's death.
That was 1.
Yeah, and that was 1. And then the scene with the 5 families meeting.
Yeah.
And I was kind of really out of it by then. But also, like, I had the fortitude to realize, or the inclination that I just wasn't old enough yet or mature enough to really appreciate it yet. So we turned it off and did another thing. And then I'd say at 16 is when I fully watched it through. I liked it. I didn't love it. And then right after that, like later on in the summer, I watched 2 again.
You know what it is? What happens is you watch it as you get older, and you see the responsibility the Godfather had
On everything.
On
And you don't even realize that the impact that it has, and it's so subconscious.
Right. But when you're older,
throughout,
when you're older and you start getting responsibilities,
you see where it goes.
and it was pretty amazing,
Which leads us to the next point. How do you think the films have aged? So I have two things that I want to point out, but I want to see like how they've aged as a piece of art, rewatching them,
I mean,
how people interpret it.
I think it's going to be timeless. It could be 200 years from now. We could be flying in cars, and people will still understand loyalty, will still understand respect, will still understand fear, all the emotions that human beings have. By then, there's going to be robots probably, but the robot will probably study the Godfather and understand that the human likes Godfather and wants to talk about it. You know what I mean?
So I think they've remastered it a couple times, which I wasn't a big fan of. It just like because it's got that great yellow look to it, like it's autumn.
The grittiness.
There's that autumn flavor of it. So the remaster
the sepia tone.
Yeah, like so the remaster kind of like makes it white in a way, which is kind of unfortunate.
Right.
But I think they've, like you said, they've just affected so many things of not even just movies, but music and pop culture.
It was the #1 movie, I think, in North Korea.
Yeah. So it's very odd. But I think the way it's aged poorly, not bad, but poorly, with people of my age group not getting through the first viewing.
And
because
then
of
about it.
and then never revisiting again, because there's also like this weird thing, especially in film school, where people watch movies and it's like a notch on your belt, and so they watch it and then that's their talking point for tomorrow, and they watch another movie, but I don't know if they enjoy it. So I think Godfather is like a hard watch for people who haven't seen it before. It's like, so it's the ultimate rewatchable movie.
Right, but you have to watch it
But you have to watch it first and getting through it. So like that's kind of tough in a way. But I think also the length of both movies is great because it's like a
saga.
7-hour
Each
mini
movie's like a saga.
Yeah, it's a 7-hour mini series that you could revisit whenever you want and jump into at any point.
Right.
So I think it's both a detriment and a great.
Well, Mario
factor.
Puzo, writing it, he was amazing. He wrote with
Coppola.
And Coppola got a feel of the vibe through the words before the visuals.
Yeah.
And when that happened, something special happened, you know, like when your hair stand up, you realize, and I'm sure on those sets that happened.
Oh, yeah. Well, they eat dinner together as a to create the family in a way.
Yep.
So I think like it's very organic feeling when you're watching it.
And like you said, your generation, I guess 25 and under, a lot of them wouldn't watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Right now at this point in history. But what's going to happen is everything comes around and goes around. And that 25-year-old at 52 might not be 38 or 27 or 25 with me. It might be 52 when he's got or she's got 2 kids and has to be more responsible than she was.
And then they end up watching it.
And then they end up watching it just because and understand it better. So I don't think it's the generation's a loss per se that they're never going to watch it or it's going to be a very small percentage that watches it. I think it's going to be pitched because Paramount's going to do their thing.
Yeah, they're going to find a way to.
They're going to pitch it.
And they already did with the offer.
No, but in shorts. You know what I mean? They're going to show shorts.
Which is being done.
Right.
It is being done.
Right.
And I bet, like, honestly, like this may sound like contradictory, but if they ever remade The Godfather, like because it is an adaptation, I feel like that would be a great thing for the original movies, just to compare them and have get people to watch the old movies.
I just think,
and that could be bad. It probably will be bad.
I think it would be bad.
Yeah, but it'll get other people watching.
Other people to watch it, and then they would watch the first one.
Exactly.
That would be a ploy to get them to watch this. But to me, as far as the acting, you're never getting that
nuance
mix of. Like Talia Shire, she was related to Coppola, but she was unbelievable in it. Like all the small characters were great.
Like
Frank Pantangeli,
the guy in 2, whose brother was it
Nicky
that doesn't speak?
Oh, how great is it? No, Frank Pantangeli's brother comes in from Sicily.
Yeah, he doesn't even speak,
from
and
Corleone,
he's one of the best performances.
He just sits in the freaking courtroom, and the guy's awesome. He looks like a Spanky, you know what I mean? Like, but the guy's awesome, and he knew. And he looked at his brother. When his brother looked at him, he didn't say nothing, but he knew not to say anything.
Even like the what's his name, Pat, from 2, the politician.
Oh yeah.
Like he's even great because like he had the context of not having dealt with an Italian ever. Like that just doesn't happen
Vegas,
anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Corleone.
Yeah, Corleone. Yeah.
He got his in the end, but.
So then let's segue to our favorite off-screen story about both films. So I have a couple, but this could be a good segue to talk about one of your. Honestly, at this point, I think he's one of your heroes, Robert Evans.
Yeah.
What would you like to say about him?
The reason why Robert Evans sticks out, and if
he
anybody,
was the studio head of
Paramount at the time, and if you think about it, he changed the way movies are made. Number one, why? Because he convinced the real heads at Paramount. I forget their names, all basically from Brooklyn, I think, but he convinced them. Why are we using Jewish American actors if we could have Italian actors and an Italian director?
Yeah, and they almost got there.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah,
but. The Godfather, Robert Evans, he basically he put it all on the line because if
he was out of a job,
he was done. If that movie was a bomb, he was done. And what that did is it revamped his career because he was on a downslope, and that just brought him right back, gave him all the respect again. And if anybody didn't see this kid is still in the picture. Great documentary on Robert
just
Evans.
about it in Hollywood in general too.
It was an amazing documentary.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like The Godfather, and I think it was Love Story he was heavily involved in.
Love Story.
They generated a model for filmmaking through intellectual property, which is pretty much just adaptations, books, short stories, magazines, comic books now.
Right.
You know, Supergirl came out the other day. Spider-Man's going to come out soon.
Right.
The Odyssey is coming out. So he created this model for which is not the first. He's not the first,
Not
but
the first one.
It was
like
he
Lord
emphasized
of the
it.
Flies. That was a classic movie, and again, that was taken from a book. But the difference was, you had an Italian director, you had an Italian writer, you had almost all Italian acting, and that mixture. And again, you could look at the cultural differences and say they're very similar, but the nuances of character and the nuances of
Or demographic. 'Cause
interpretation.
They were from either, well, Cazale was from Boston,
Right.
but then most of the crew was from New York.
but they were Italian.
Yes.
And when you're Italian, you understand, like I said, the nuances of an expression or a facial expression or a hand gesture. That's the difference. Where an Irish actor or a Jewish actor, or not that they're not great
not
actors
that they
or
can't
good
act,
actors, they
yeah.
can't act. The cohesion of acting, directing, writing, and even the sound. I don't know if it was in Italian, but the music was unbelievable. I think Coppola's father
Did the music?
did
He did.
did some of it, at least some of it.
Yeah.
I know that, and that's the reason why it paints such a picture of an Italian mafia family, and where The Sopranos later on did it in a different way, but it was still the Godfather.
Hardcore. Yeah, people that
That's
were
it.
raised on the
That's
Godfather
it.
in a way. I wish I came up. I wish I was the first to think of that, but I'm not. So I'll give it that. Yeah, I'll give credit to where it's due. But my favorite off-screen story is Brando with the cue cards. I think that's a really funny like gesture, because when you watch it, you see it. Like the scene when he's talking, Michael and Vito are talking like this. You see him go like this, and then he does his line. And they kept it in, but it works.
But he's so convincing as an act. He was so convincing. I mean, he became a maniac. But in that movie, I could say, even though he broke their chops about showing
Money
up and money and this and that, I think he won an Academy Award too. But he didn't show up. So, but his acting was never the same. He never acted like that. He never was going to act like that again. It was his idea to put the cotton in the mouth. Now,
we've never seen a person look like that,
and
but we've
seen people that were in our neighborhoods look like that,
and he thought it would work, and it did.
And it worked. Did. He had to see somebody that
looked
had
like
a
that.
mouth like that. It's like,
I think that would be good. And then my favorite, probably the greatest piece of like wide knowledge, is that Johnny Fontaine is Frank Sinatra in a way.
Yeah.
It's more demonstrated in the book.
Yes, much more.
And they had to get rid of it because Sinatra had a hand in the making of the film.
Right.
Which is a whole podcast unto itself. So I think that's funny.
What's hilarious is when he tells him to act like a man.
Yeah, I'll get to that. I'll get to that later. That's the best. And who's your favorite character in the saga?
Robert De Niro.
De Niro's
Outright,
Vito.
Robert De Niro. I mean, when he went to, first of all, he went to Italy.
And learn the dialect.
He ate Italian, he lived Italian, he learned the dialect, and when he acted, it was unbelievable.
It didn't even, it was...
It was just, to me, no, there's nobody else that can compare. And then, not even Al Pacino, I think it's the Godfather, what's his name?
Brando.
I think it's Brando.
So just Vito. Just Vito in general is your favorite. Yeah.
That character.
Yeah, I would say my favorite character as just content is Hagen. I just think Tom Hagen is, because he's such a real, like every family probably has an adopted son, even though it's not out, like something on paper.
Right.
And they're probably smarter than the kids, and they're probably they're sharper, but there's at an arm's reach, which ends up being what Hagen is at the end of one, and then he's not even a brother in two, he's the lawyer, which is like really a messed up thing, and that's how how potent family is, that a guy that's literally adopted on paper, but it's not your blood, you could keep him at arm's length. But the most entertaining is Sonny, and the limited screen time he has. That Khan gives one of the great, I almost wish that there was more, but which I guess which shows how great Khan's performance is in the film.
You think so?
Yeah. So we'll do that in a little bit. And now, favorite scene. Favorite scene in one, and then favorite scene in two.
Favorite scene in one was Hagen. Believe it or not, when he goes to make an offer to the guy.
Yeah, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
What was his name? what was his name?
He was
Jack.
he was actually an acting coach. That was.
No, Strasberg was the acting
Right.
coach, but he was in 2. He was Hyman Roth.
Then I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That guy at the table where Hagen goes and talks, I couldn't believe the acting in that.
Yeah, that was like eavesdropping.
Now you get the hell out of here! Wow, that's like we've heard that before. You know what I mean?
And now in 2.
And 2, I think when Vito Corleone comes over the boat as a kid, and he's just in the room, and the Statue of Liberty's in the distance, and he starts singing again.
Yeah, yeah. I'm getting that now. Yeah.
You know, that was unbelievable, and that just set the tone for the whole movie. You know, the vibe, the look, the grittiness.
The nothing. He had nothing, and he built an empire.
Amazing, amazing.
Yes, I agree with that. So, for 1, I have is the Act Like a Man scene with Fontaine comes and cries. I think that's just, it's one of the funniest moments, I think, in any movie. It's so true.
Yep.
I think everyone should watch it if they're ever feeling down, because or like you think your job's shitty. I just went through a shitty job. I watched that and I felt better, not because it's funny, but because he's right. He's correct. And my father also tells me that whenever things are going shit. And then 2 is it's not really a scene, but it's well, I guess the stretch when Vito gets fired from his job because of Don Fanucci have his nephew work in the, was it a cheese shop? Let's call it a cheese shop.
Yeah.
And he quits and he leaves the job, and then the owner gives him the package, and he's like, no, I won't take it. But he either took a pear from it, or he got it from the street, and he put the pear on the table, and the wife and Mama Corleone goes, "What a great pear!" It's just so sweet. It's just so sweet. People were so simple back then, and now there's none of that, which I think is just
it's great.
And then also the Hyman Roth stuff. I think his first that was in 2. Which I think is his first. I think his first scene when he's talking about baseball and football and who fixed the 1919 World Series? What was his name? Jewish guy. Rothstein.
Arnold Rothstein.
Arnold Rothstein. So, I think that's those are fun.
You know
scenes.
what I was. That's why I didn't really like the saga, but they got into the bootlegging in Canada and how that went down, because they mentioned it in 2 and 1 about the bootlegging and how they made money with Hyman Roth and not. But when they described it in the saga a little bit more, when they described Michael's wife's death of Apollonia when she dies, they go into the guy that killed her, and he actually moves to America, and they kill him, and they show that, and that's in the book.
Yes.
You know, but they had to cut a lot.
Yeah,
from
they had
the
to
book.
cut it because it was already pushing 4 hours.
Exactly.
So they couldn't. That's interesting. I mean, that's funny that you say that the prohibition was not mentioned much, which is like such a. But I guess it's.
But that's where they made their bulk of their money.
But they kind of have to, because it takes away from the familiar stuff. Then it becomes procedural,
right,
in a way. So I guess that I understand.
No, but
where
I like the idea of how did he get so rich? You know, like you could be
Couldn't
rich.
just be from olive oil.
But he was fuck you rich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't just from olive oil. Olive oil was washing the money, and he wasn't into drugs, like as far as the movie's concerned. Just like the mafia was supposed to in real life, which they didn't follow. But so that's where the prohibition times is where they made the money.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he flipped that money, and then it was all right.
Okay, and then the great debate. So you're a 2 guy.
I'm a 2 guy.
Straight through and through.
Straight up. Because I believe, and this is why I said it, Sonny overacted and destroyed 1. Oh,
there goes the book.
That's Sonny.
Yeah, that's Sonny. He fell over because he couldn't. Let's leave it. That's funny.
You know?
Yeah.
But he overdid it.
Overpowering.
And again, some people liked it for that.
Yeah, I do.
And I just feel the tone of the movie was calm and relaxed. And he just stuck out so much, where I believe it affected 1 from being watched like number 2. But again, we'll get into the number 2, why it was so important.
Yeah. And you think 2 is just works as a. So my defending of 1 is because I think it just works better as a. It's a sequel, so 2 has that problem. Not problem, but that, like it has to. You have to
Has
know
to live
what,
up, but it has to live up
that
to one.
too, and you have to know what happened in one. One, I think, just works as a singular piece
Yes.
of.
If Godfather 2, 3 never were made,
yeah, it's fine.
one would have been a great
Yeah.
movie, and then that was it.
And that was it, yeah. So it was. So that's interesting in that case. So I think one just works better as a movie. I think my thing, and I think you'll agree with me on this, is that I wonder if 2 works if you just separate the Michael stuff as its own singular movie, and I think if you take the Vito stuff in 1920s New York,
Right.
and make that it's like a foreign film pretty much. I wonder if it works in the same way. I don't think Michael's stuff works singularly, and I think the New York stuff would if it was its own movie. But like them in conversation with each other does work.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it is a masterpiece nonetheless.
I believe the reason why 2 works, I feel like this, it should have been Godfather 1, Godfather 2 would have been with him as a child.
Yeah, and then the prequel.
The whole story, and then the prequel. That
Yeah.
would have worked as the trilogy, and that would have been great.
Yeah.
When they put this 3 in,
It was for money. It was made for money.
But they were pushing it, and it was
Yeah.
it was a money grab. But who the hell would want to go out like that if you have such a classic piece of art and then you want to change it? I guess, you know, he's.
But it's like you
and
don't have to accept it.
Coppola winds up being bankrupt anyway.
Anyway, yeah. 30 years later. 30 years.
30 years
He did it. He did it twice. He's 90 now. He did it every 30 years. Okay. And do you have any random thoughts that you'd want to add for it about the saga itself?
I just feel that if you look at it as a whole, it's something. Take the mafia out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that every single family person in a family feels they wish they had.
Yeah.
Because-
Or they've had and they don't want to admit it.
Right. Like the patriarch is passé at this point.
Mm-hmm.
There's matriarchs now, and it's understand they've always been, if the husband dies, it's the matriarch. But the patriarch is something that inherently, from time everlasting, the man took care of the woman. And if you break down the whole movie, that's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not to say the woman only, the family, but the family is important to the woman. And that's why I feel Vito bent over backwards for his wife. It wasn't for clout, it wasn't for fame, it wasn't for money. He loved his wife because that's his only family.
Yeah.
When his mother was killed, his father was killed, his brother was killed, his wife was his only blood, and it wasn't his blood. But he respected that and her loyalty in a way that you can't replicate. Again, and every family wishes that they had that.
Yeah. Wow. I never even thought of it like that. That's crazy.
Right?
I think we'll end off like that. I got nothing to add.
On the field, he's locked in that short. Quick hands, big arm, shutting down the sport. Lead off, hit the first pitch, he ain't playing. Step in the box, whole park screaming his name. They call him Big Frank for a reason, yeah. Auntie said it best. First